On the 8th of October, live on DAZN pay-per-view, the Benn Eubank rivalry will be reignited. Conor Benn will take on Chris Eubank Jr, and they will finish what their fathers started.
I'd say it's one of the biggest fights of the decade.
We are going to make history. It's the stuff of legend, it's the stuff of fantasy. We're going to find out something we don't know about Conor Benn. We don't know how he deals with adversity. Will he be able to come through that?
We've been made aware that a random anti-doping test for Benn returned an adverse analytical finding for trace amounts of a fertility drug.
Wednesday the 5th, news breaks.
We were covering the fight for TalkSport.
We need to hear from Conor Benn. We need to hear from Eddie Hearn.
We need to find out the reasons as to how this substance has ended up into Conor Benn's system.
When we received the first positive test, obviously there's a substantial problem. Now it's over to the board to tell us what to do. The British Boxing Board of Control are the regulatory body. Contractually, the fight goes ahead until the British Boxing Board of Control refuse to sanction the contest. We get to 3 days before the event and we're still waiting for a decision.
It was probably the strangest week of work I've ever had. We were in Tottenham Court Road at the open workout, and all of a sudden we opened Twitter and everything's going mental. But there is no real understanding of what will happen.
There was some big news that broke a couple of hours ago. We've been made aware that a random anti-doping test for Conor Benn returned an adverse analytical finding for trace amounts of a fertility drug.
Still processing it, trying to get my head around it all.
Everybody here is wanting answers.
About an hour after the Daily Mail released the story, the British Boxing Board of Control released a statement. The wording that they used was that the fight is now prohibited.
I walked in, all the media had seen it, boom, 40 cameras round me. Eddie, what's this? Did you know about this? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Chris Eubank is made aware of these tests. They have doctors look into the results. They're not concerned by the results.
To be so close and then all of a sudden it's all gone. It was a crazy feeling and an experience to go through.
It comes down to Chris at that point, and I said to him, we in or we out?
I got a phone call saying Eubank wants £1 million or the fight's off. And I told Eubank he can shove that £1 million up his ass.
They would not accept that number. So I said, well, then the fight's off. Do one.
The boxing world was in limbo. Conor Benn still did his workout, despite the uncertainty that was going on.
There is one half of our main event, Conor Benn making his way into the studio.
That media workout interview was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
I wanted you guys to hear it from me personally rather than reading it in a statement from me and my team. I'm a clean athlete. All my UK tests have come back negative throughout my whole career. I've never had any issues before.
It was scary. I was petrified.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Cheers. Okay, so Conor Benn's first statement since the news broke.
I had to face it head on.
I'm a clean fighter. I've prepared. I've cut the weight. I'm ready to go.
The fighters are the fighters. They're going to want to fight. It's what they're trained to do. It's in their mentality, it's in their DNA.
It wasn't until Thursday, 5 p.m, that they announced to the press publicly that the fight was indeed off.
We wanted to come here today and formally announce that Chris Eubank Jr against Conor Benn has been officially postponed. Thank you for your time today, and we'll see you in due course. Thank you.
It was a PR, commercial, media mess.
The boxing world stopped.
It was a very tough week for all involved.
All this time I'd spent in camp and cutting weight and press conferences and travel, it's all for nothing.
When someone fails a drug test, 9 times out of 10, I think they're cheating. And that's my automatic reaction. But I've got to get Conor Benn in, because if I'm going into bat for you in front of the world, I've got to believe you. Because if I don't believe you, I ain't doing it. So I get him in the office. He breaks down in tears, and that was the first hour interrogation. There were probably a dozen more. in front of his dad, in front of Tony Sims, and not once in any one of those meetings did I truly have any doubt that he wasn't telling the truth.
If I ever thought my son was doing performance-enhancing drugs, I'd say, mate, you're on your own with this, son. You're not ruining my career. I worked hard to get me where I am. I didn't even have to say that because I know my boy.
Matchroom heavily backed me. They believed in me.
I believe him. And if I believe him, and he's my mate, I'm not letting him down. I never went through the he went through, but I went through a whole pile of having his back.
Some people will always think that he's guilty. That's never going to change. But with me, my son can get on with his career and achieve his goal of being world champion.
Nigel will be supportive, Nigel will be with Conor throughout the whole build-up, but he's not in Tony Sims' ear saying, right, Conor needs to be doing this. Whereas I think Chris Eubank Sr. wishes he was that little bit more present within Chris Eubank Jr.'s career.
Chris Eubank Jr. is now his own man. I was fortunate enough to cover a few of Chris's early fights, and I would be at press conferences, and his dad would take over the press conference.
He would sometimes stand in the middle of the ring and not say nothing at Chris Jr., just look in between rounds and pose. I was commenting on most of his early fights and it would just be bizarre. And
it was almost a show for him to kind of give Chris advice. I'm like, dude, he has a trainer, let his trainer do his training. Chris started to speak, and in doing so, the limelight was pulled away from Senior. Senior loves the limelight.
Since he wrote me that letter that said, I'm now the boss, I saw a clip of him saying, my dad's gone missing. Well, I went missing when you said, I'm the boss. Even in the biggest fight of my career, we're still talking about my old man. That shadow is gargantuan, but I didn't see it as a bad thing. I learned a lot from being in that shadow. I learned a lot from trying to eventually get out of the shadow. I think it's been a blessing. I wouldn't change it.
Chris Sr. didn't really want Chris Jr. to have this fight. Many reasons why. The weight cut he didn't want, all the stipulations behind the scenes he didn't want.
I heard all these comments on the first fight. He is a father that cares about his son. For me, the first fight wasn't safe.
Chris Sr. is just looking out for his lad. He wants to protect his lad.
This fight wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for what he did all those years ago. So of course, regardless of the fact that we've been estranged for a number of years now, I would want him there, involved in this massive event.
Of course, I will accept anything he asks me, but you have to have the humility to ask.
I'm actively working to try and get him there. Will it happen? I couldn't tell you, but all we can do is hope and pray, right?
Could this be the fight that reclaims that relationship with his father?
In my heart, Chris Sr. will be there.
I think it would be a beautiful thing for a father and a son to be reignited over the thing that has given them so much identity.
He's back. He's looking good, he's fit, and he potentially has a massive fight on the horizon. I'm talking about Chris Eubank Jr., the face-off, if you will, with Conor made headlines. And then immediately after the fight, I mean, he walked into the ring with ease.
You think you can fight me like that? You think you can fight me like that? Easy, bro. Look at the state of your face.
I'll jump up 2 weight divisions. I ain't gonna be no weight, bro. I'll fight you a middleweight. Okay. I ain't gonna say what. You think you can beat me off the back of that? On my worst day. On my worst day. Okay, we'll see.
This fight was destined to be at a different period in time, at a different place, a different moment in history. And now the fight is 4 times as big. The stakes are 4 times as high. The purse is 4 times as great.
Ultimately, all of this stuff pushed this fight to another dimension.
Now it's not just our old man's fought, so now we gotta fight. Now me and Conor have our own storyline, our own history, our own beef.
This press conference was always going to be big because it wasn't just any fight.
Conor Benn, undefeated, and his opponent, Chris, the next generation, Eubank Jr.
I read a tweet that made me chuckle. The guy said, Chris Eubank Jr. is an arrogant and I can't wait until he smashes the eggs out of Conor Benn. Conor, how many eggs did you have to eat to fail those 2 drugs tests?
Number 1, I've been cleared. 2, you will never be cleared of being a period. That's it.
I do think if they get too close here, that something might kick off. And I tell you who will start it: Conor Benn. That went wrong, didn't I? Fuming now, Conor Benn.
It really has erupted down here on the stage.
That's absolute mayhem there. No, that's
That is mayhem.
fair. Look at the Nigel Benn's going off like a lunatic.
Chris Eubank Jr. is an absolute genius at mental warfare.
It's like the most perfect slap. It's poetic, and now it's all anyone can talk about.
Inside and outside the ring, he's a showman. He knows what to do at a press conference.
He has already started to get inside Conor Benn's head. Conor Benn wants to rip his head off, and that's exactly what Chris Eubank Jr. wants him to feel like. Chris Eubank Jr. is one of the coldest individuals you are ever likely to meet. He's planting seeds, he's setting traps for you to walk into come fight night.
In my dreams, it would have been perfect to just, get Conor and then see where Eddie's at. Oh, he's there. Bang, with the second. It made headlines all over the world. And that was really the purpose of it. Do you guys know who I'm fighting? Conor Benn, that's right. Do any of you know what I did a few weeks ago?
Egg bin.
That is correct. I don't have any eggs on me today. The truth is, I shouldn't have done that. Sportsmanship, being respectful to your opponents. Serious, like you're about to hit Conor Benn with an egg.
Whether you're doing something stupid like smashing an egg in your face, without all the trappings of a big fight night and sellout crowds, those 2 would have a go round the back of the garage. That's dislike.
Eddie, you know I don't like you, right?
I don't know.
I don't want to hear what you have to say.
What, you talk?
I'd love to talk, but if
I'll
not
tell you
me,
what I'll
it's
do.
somebody
I'll
else.
tell you what I'll do. Conor Benn, how are we feeling about smashing this geezer to pieces April 26th? Because I'll tell you something now, I can't wait.
Listen, Chris can say what he wants. The bottom line is, his dad don't even like him. You could not pay that man enough money to sit in this man's corner.
I thought he was an idiot then. Now, probably will do after I knock him out as well.
Why are you so confident that you can knock Chris Eubank Jr. out that quick? Every time he's stepped up, he's fouled. Yeah, you face better oppositions, well done you, but this is the end of your career. You are going to get rendered unconscious by a welterweight. Rendered, yeah, exactly, like Liam Smith.
Come fight night. It's not a game. It's not a joke. It's not a media stunt. It's a fight. And you want to make sure you're well prepared for that.
So the much touted debut of Conor Benn, son of the legend that is Nigel, of course.
I've seen Conor grow over 6-7 years. I mean, when he first came to the UK to fight, he was poor level. We threw him into the deep end at the O2 Arena, and he was all over the place.
No lack of spite in there. Remind you of someone?
I didn't expect him to get this far, to tell you the truth.
The journey has been quite incredible. I don't think really people dial into the work that this young man has put in. He is the hardest working fighter I've seen. The improvements that he's made are incredible. That of a world-class fighter.
Weighed myself today and I'm heavier than I expected. You know, for me it's looking like my 147 days are done. I feel powerful.
feel like I'm going to cave Eubank's head in personally. Bang, big dent up the side of his head.
How Tony's just taken him to another level is just like mind-blowing.
Every aspect of his game he's really interested in. So he's a dream of a fighter to train. I think he's a lot more improved now than he was 12 months ago. His fight now has come at the right time for him.
He's matured in 2 years. I'm more excited about this fight than it was with me and Chris Senior.
Eubank poodles down the gym in Brighton, bashes up a couple of blue-collar fighters. He's getting old. He hasn't got the desire. But this fight will give him more desire than he's had for a long time, and that will make him dangerous.
He talks about my age and how I'm washed up and finished. I think my age is actually going to work in my favor. It's going to be an advantage for me. I've been through this fire before. There's a lot more pressure around this fight, but that doesn't change what I'm going to do to prepare for it. When you plant an egg in somebody's face at a press conference, the next time you guys come together, there's going to be concerns. I don't know if a metal detector was necessary, but whatever they need to do to feel safe.
They all say it's all fair in love and war, but did you cross the line at the end of the press conference on Tuesday with the eggs and the slap in the face?
During this whole process over the last 2.5 years, I think many lines have been crossed. If I had an opportunity to do it again, I would.
Do you think you got under Conor Benn's skin?
What do you think? Of course I got under the kid's skin. He doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't know what day it is right now. I think I've rattled the entire Conor Benn team. It's my job to rattle these snakes as much as I can. Had to make sure I saw where his father is, because in the first press conference he snuck around the back and put his hand on my neck.
I didn't, did I? I thought you actually glassed him, mate. I nearly got my hand around your throat.
If your hand ever touches me again, you won't get it back.
Shut your mouth, do you hear me?
No,
do you hear me? Just threaten my dad again, watch what happens to you.
I'm not threatening him, I'm just letting him know.
Do you hear what I said?
Any father would do that, try and protect his son, and I'll do it again.
Eubank, I can't wait to smash your head in.
I can't wait, my friend. I can't wait.
At his best, Conor Benn is a very explosive fighter. He uses headroom and footwork to get into range, and then he unleashes big right hands. He's a ferocious fighter, very intense, just like his personality.
He's had 2 fights, both in the States, hasn't taken any significant blows. So he'll be in a good position now, mentally a lot stronger than he was 2 years ago.
Eubank Jr has a great jab, and off that jab he throws a great left hook. He's changed as his career's progressed. Now he's refined, he's a little bit more skillful, a little bit more nuanced.
People are questioning whether Chris still has it. Like Chris now mid-30s.
He got absolutely ironed out by Liam Smith. I know he got stopped on his feet, but he got battered, let's be honest.
Liam just kind of plows through Chris, and you kind of think, is there even worth a rematch? We get the rematch, and typical Chris style, he flips the script.
The way he dusted himself down, went back to the Manchester arena, the scene of the crime, such a hostile atmosphere, and gave such a good performance, I think shows the measure of the man.
I think for Chris it's just a case of, do I need to remind you again? Can you not see my back catalogue of performances?
Where's the respect? You know, I've had 34 fights, 25 KOs, and I can only beat this guy because I'm a bit bigger than him.
I think we're forgetting that level that Chris has fought at. No, he's not beaten them, but he's been in there with them and he's hung with them. Conor hasn't.
He wants to punish Conor Benn on April 26th. I've never heard him talk like that about any fighter. This is something that he feels very, very strongly about.
Both fighters need to win this fight. They will not be able to sleep at night because they will feel that they've let their surname down.
There's so much on the line in terms of family, pride and the name. So whoever loses will have to live with it for a long time.
Conor Benn's the one who fans are split with now.
The way that he went from hero to villain. This was a kid that was adored, really, to a guy that was completely ridiculed and hung out to dry.
Now, it's one of the biggest fights in boxing. It was almost like the perfect storm. The failed drug test, Chris falling out with his dad. It's layer on layer on layer, and it's created something pretty epic.
Fast forward 2 years, now it's spiteful. Now there's hate, and that turns it up a notch.
If Conor Benn is to be successful in this fight, it would be one of the biggest upsets in recent times. He's a welterweight, and now he's fighting at 160 pounds against the guy that has been at World Championship level at super middleweight. At 168, he's fought George Groves for a world title.
For me, it's a 6-round fight, because I think that's where Conor Benn is going to be at his most dangerous. The size is a problem, and that's what, in my opinion, makes it a 50-50 fight. I think pound for pound, Conor's the better fighter. If you get hit cold and clean by Conor Benn early, you're going to be in trouble.
I'm not really worried about the weight. I've been watching him spar with some big guys, strong guys. I don't see it going past 4 rounds.
Conor's last 2 fights have been at 154. Let's not pretend this is David versus Goliath, because it certainly isn't that.
First time around, the weight was set at 157. This time, it's at Chris Eubank's natural weight class, which is 160 pounds. I've seen pundits, they're bringing Chris Eubank Jr down for this fight. No, his last 5 fights have been at 160 pounds. In this fight, there's a rehydration clause of 10 pounds. Chris Eubank Jr, he doesn't rehydrate to a big number. He will be fine inside the 10-pound weight class.
Making the weight's the hard bit. You should be able to then eat and drink what you want. So if you overeat and overdrink, it slows you down anyway. So just let him do what he wants. 1, I think it's dangerous, and 2, I think it's unfair.
No, it's not unfair. It's called a negotiation of the deal by me. They like to spin a narrative that this is not safe. Yes, it's safe. He's got to wake up in the morning 10 pounds heavier than he weighed in at.
The rehydration clause, I'll never agree with.
This was something that was added in last minute, but it's not something you typically see in boxing.
Now they're moaning about the contract they signed. Ben Shalom will say, yeah, but it was very late when we signed the contract. Hell.
Will I be affected? Of course I will. I'm being restricted from how much I can eat and drink. So there will be a slight disadvantage. But I'm being paid, so I will accept that challenge.
You sign the contract, you play by the rules. And the rules are there as well to protect Conor Benn. Chris Eubank Jr, he'll be between 10 pounds and a stone heavier than Conor Benn in the ring.
If you'd have asked me 2 years ago, I'd have said Chris Eubank. I've sparred Chris Eubank, and he's a tough kid, he's like his old man. But that main attribute now at 36 years old, fitness and the ability to sustain a pace, that's the one that's going. The smart money now would be on Conor Benn, but it's a close fight. It's not even a 60-40 in Conor Benn's favour. It's more like a 55-45. Conor Benn knows he's got a future in the sport. He's going to get in there with desire, where Chris Eubank Jr just wants pain. That's all he wants. And when you're fighting just for the money, that's not enough.
I think Eubank's just fighting for money.
Do you want to win this fight? What desire have you got in boxing now? Honestly.
This fight is everything. It's career defining. It means more to me than the money involved.
You gotta love the sport. You gotta love the graft, the sweat, the pain, the tears, each and every day for years and years and years and years, since I was 14 years old, 21 years. That type of dedication doesn't come from, oh, I'm only doing this because I want some money.
It's going to be a massive, massive moment for British boxing.
To me, stadium fights in boxing are the pinnacle. And you do that at the best stadium in the UK. There's nothing better.
We still talk about Froch Groves at Wembley Stadium. This is what we'll be talking about in 10 years' time. This is something that will stop the nation.
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where legacies will be remembered, where family history will be remembered.
Can you imagine the energy, the noise, the anticipation moments before that first bell?
Someone could get disqualified in there. Someone can lose it. There'll be shoulders, there'll be elbows, there'll be head. They're going to do everything to put the other guy out of the game. I think this is the best fight you've ever promoted.
It's an honour now to be part of what really is a trilogy for the family.
You can't put together a better contrast in personalities, of boxing styles and of boxing brains. Eubank has the brains. Conor Benn has the brawl. I wouldn't miss this for the world.
I want to be a part of something that no one else has ever done.
Come April 26th, there'll only be one winner, and that's going to be the Benn name on top.
The beef is real. It's not fake. It's not pretend. These people have put me through a lot over the last few years, and now I'm going to make them pay.
Can't lose to him. It's a fight that definitely feel possessed over it.
If you want to know what to expect, you can tune in live on DAZN.
Live on DAZN Worldwide, April 26th, Eubank Jr versus Benn. 30 years of rivalry and hatred. I do hate him. All comes down to this. The next generation, a new destroyer. For family, history, legacy. Eubank Jr versus Benn, April 26th. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.